I've worked with a couple of people who really truly thought their personality was anger, sarcasm, defensiveness. They're like, no, that's me. I've always been this way. And it took a bit to break through and let them see that no, that's actually not you. It's a dysregulated version of you. It is a story looping. So if you are someone who's listening to this, you're like, nope, I just am this way. I've always been this way. That is the dysregulated version of you. And I promise you, there is another version. You just have lost touch with her. And I know that because that was me. Like, no, I'm a hard ass. You don't want to mess with me. I'm going to tell you how it is. Like, all of these things that I wore as a bit of a badge of honor was really me dysregulated.
Welcome to the Marriage and Motherhood Podcast. I'm your host, Michelle Perda. As a marriage coach who's married with 3 kids, I know how much parenthood could change a marriage. If flirting, laughing, and having fun together feels like a thing of the past, then I'm here to teach you that marriage doesn't have to feel so hard with your parents, and your marriage can thrive even when you're in the season of raising kids. Whether you're in a good place in your marriage and you just want to continue growing together, or you're wondering if you even like your spouse anymore, this podcast has something for you. Join me here each week as we dive into what it takes to help your marriage grow, and maybe even do a 180. You'll learn ways to handle conflict better, bring that spark back into your relationship, as well as learn how to improve other areas of your life from my lovely guest experts. Are you ready for the next stage of your life and marriage? Let's dive in. Hello. Welcome back to another episode of the Marriage and Motherhood Podcast. As you may have seen, I've been talking about the nervous system and nervous system regulation, being dysregulated, and all those things so much lately. So much that you're like, okay, we get it. But as I was talking to my guest, Ashlee, here just before I hit record, it is literally the most important thing that you need to know if you want to live a life that feels like you're not just in reaction to life, but rather you know exactly what you need in order to be resilient through all the things that get thrown at you with life, right? With your kids, with your marriage, with your career, with family, with anything, okay? Because this is truly how you learn to master yourself and kind of ride the waves that life often presents. And so I'm excited to have our guest, Ashlee Livingstone, back on the show. She hasn't been a guest in a while, but I'll have to put in the show notes the last episode she was on here so you can have a listen. But we're going to dive into what the hell is nervous system regulation. If you're like, okay, this is like just some hot phrase and trend that's coming up. It's not a trend. Okay. I know that people are becoming more aware of it now, and it seems like it's like this trend that's going to go away, but it's not, because it really is the key to just living a more fulfilling life where you do feel a lot more resilient. So we're going to dive into that, and we're going to dive into different ways that you can learn more about your nervous system, learn how to regulate yourself, how to identify when you're dysregulated, and also her specialty, breathwork, which is actually how I met her, through our breathwork certification. So Ashlee, thank you so much for coming back onto the show. For those who are new to you, can you please share with them where you live, how old your son is, and what made you want to specialize in nervous system regulation and breathwork?
Yeah, well, thank you for having me back, Michelle. I am based out of close to Toronto, Ontario, Canada, so representing for Canada here. And my son is now 13, which is wild. And if your nervous system isn't dysregulated, it is once you start having a teenager. So he's 13. He's into all the sports, all the things. He is really challenging me each and every day in a really humbling way. And I am a breathwork facilitator, personal growth coach. I really am so focused on helping people actually love their lives. And I don't, sometimes I say that and people are like, oh, okay, we have to love our life. I don't understand why we wouldn't. Right? So that's my goal, is to help specifically women just fall back in love with this life that they are working so hard to build and create. I don't believe that we just have to get through. I don't believe that this is just the way it is. I'm a big believer on we get to actually create the life we want to live and the relationships we want to have. And that's where nervous system regulation, breath work, becoming kind of the master of your own self is really hugely important.
Yes. And I'm so glad that there have been so many people researching this for decades now. And it's
Mm-hmm.
finally becoming more popular amongst like mainstream media, I guess. Or
Yeah.
maybe it's just my feed because I love this stuff and just popping up on my feeds. But now I'm bringing it to you guys, okay? Because this is so, so important. But let's dial it back and get down to the basics. Can you define what our nervous system is, but in layman terms?
Yes. Yes. So I think the most common way when I speak to my clients about nervous system, I always break it into two parts, right? Our nervous system is that calm. It can be, the parasympathetic side of our nervous system. It's responsible for rest, digest. I also think that that's where we find clarity. You might notice that you're able to make decisions easier. You can focus. Um, you have this like space, right? Where you don't feel so activated. And then we have our sympathetic side of our nervous system, which is responsible for that activation. Typically, we'll hear people talk about survival mode. So, our fight, our flight, our freeze, our fawn, all of that lives in, that sympathetic side of our nervous system. And what I want to say about that is we need both. We absolutely need to be able to get activated. So, have our sympathetic side of our nervous system activated, because if there is actually danger, we need to fight, right? Or we need to know we got to get out of there. We need that, right? We want the nerves when we're about to go do a job interview or we're about to walk on the stage. That is healthy stress. That is a healthy activation. Stress is always going to be there. What we haven't been doing such a great job with lately in our society is coming back into our parasympathetic side, that rest, that calm, that safety state. Too many of us are living too much in activation. So everything feels like a fight. Everything feels like we got to run away, or we've been there so long that we're just freezing. Like literally stuck there. Um, and that's where I'm now meeting most people. I don't know if you can identify with that too, but most people, when I start working with them, their baseline is survival mode. They don't know what it feels like to feel calm. Their digestion is a mess. They're not sleeping. They're so quick to anger. All of those pieces, they don't even know what clarity looks like to them because they've spent so much time out of their parasympathetic side of their nervous system.
And I think a lot of people can relate to that, especially those who grew up with moms who were also quick to anger and just like go, 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 like just pumping adrenaline through their body
Mhm.
all the time. Like, I can't rest. There's so much to do. I can't go to sleep because I have thoughts filling my brain. And that I've heard this a lot of times. It's like, that's just what it means to be a mom. That's just what it means to be an
Yeah,
adult. And no.
I know.
Okay. So, like, if you're to unlearn anything, it's that.
Yeah.
Yes, you're going to have moments of stress, and that's so normal,
Hmm.
right? But it's like if you have your foot on the gas the whole time, what happens? You're going to run out of gas,
Yeah.
right? You're going to
And there's
burn
no way to
out.
refill if you're just going,
Exactly.
right? Yeah. And I think what's interesting, because you and I can probably come up with a whole whack of analogies to paint the picture, right? Oh, you got to charge your phone at night. You need to fill your gas tank, oxygen mask on first. Like you all listening to this have heard all of these analogies. And if we break it down for you, you get it. And yet, the gap here is that most people still are not slowing down enough to properly recharge, refuel, and reset. So if you have been stuck in fight or flight, you're stuck there and everything just feels like another stressor to you. I find that the idea of slowing down actually feels very scary, right? I get that because what I hear from so many women is, but if I stop holding it all, it's all going to fall. And that fear re-triggers survival mode, right? If I just have to pick up all the pieces, what's the point of slowing down? Because we've kind of like created this world or this life that relies on us going 110 miles an hour all the time.
Yeah, I mean, it's no secret how I believe that this society is not really built for women to thrive, right?
Yeah.
And this is where we can take our power back by learning how we can work with ourselves, with our nervous system, with our cycles, okay? Like menstrual cycles is what I mean by cycles.
Yeah.
And the more we can learn to work with our bodies, the more we can almost like harness the best parts of ourselves more often. Not all the time, but more often. And it pains me when I come across someone like a client and they're like, no, I can't rest. I haven't done enough, or there's too much to do. There's still so much. I'm like, but here's the thing is that I was like that too. I thought, well, like if I rest, I'm going to be labeled lazy, or I'm going to disappoint someone, and really tie my productivity to my value and my worth. And I will tell you that once I learned that rest is also productive, that rest helps me actually do things in a better way and show up for myself and my family in a better way, no one has come back to me and be like, how dare you? It's more like, oh, like my husband, he's like, oh, you want to go? Please go. I'll hold down the fort. Like he knows how important it is for me to go have my own time to like socialize with friends, because I'm an extrovert, he's an introvert, and like do things that help me feel more like myself. Because the alternative is not someone he enjoys. I don't enjoy her very much. My kids don't enjoy her. So like this is a win-win situation all around.
Yeah. And I bet too, like those moments, right? There's just so many circles that we end up looping, right? Okay, I sacrifice my social life or I sacrifice my well-being to take care of my family. And then you yell at them. You lose your cool. You're not sleeping. You're burning out. Now you feel guilty. You feel that shame spiral. You feel that not enoughness. You're like, why am I the only one who can't figure this out? You just keep looping. I must have to go harder. And it is just this vicious cycle that we get trapped in. And I think one of the best ways to start getting ourselves out of that cycle is by giving ourselves permission to just even create pockets of 5 minutes. 5 minutes. I'm not even asking you to like sit down and do breath work for an hour. 5 minutes. 5 minutes where you are just with yourself. There's no phone dinging. There's nobody knocking at the door. It's just 5 protected minutes. And your body actually starts to get used to that. There's this really great quote, and I forget who said it, and so I apologize for not having the like footnote here. But we often say, and you kind of mentioned this, that have I done enough to earn my rest? And the reframe is, have I rested enough to do my best work? And as soon as we start asking ourselves that question, it shifts it. Really gives yourself permission to say, I know, like today I have this podcast interview with you. after this, I'm running a workshop in my community. And then I have like client calls afterwards. That's a full day for me. And I know that I'm not going to be my best self throughout the day if I haven't gotten to bed early, if I haven't done my morning practice, and I have like food already prepped for myself in the fridge. Like there are just things that I know I need so that I'm not exhausted and not able to show up as my best self for the rest of the day, right? It's great if I can be here and be awesome. But then if I'm burnt out and exhausted after this, that's not really helpful for the rest of my day.
No. And that preparation is understanding your nervous system more.
Yeah.
So we've talked a little bit about the importance of, our nervous system, even when it feels annoying at the time. You're like, this is not a great time for me to be going through this right now. I think it's clear what dysregulation feels. I think everybody can be like, yeah, I know what that feels like, right? That's when I feel angry and I'm acting like I'm not myself. Like if I were calm, that's not it, right? That's dysregulated. How do we go from dysregulation to regulation? I think that's what people struggle with most. I know that's what my clients struggle with most, and gets them into these, like, if we're talking about conflict with your spouse, the back and forth, the, intention to talk about things calmly, and then it blows up in your face and escalates. And then you're like, we didn't even stay on topic. And now we don't like each other, and nothing gets resolved, right? So in these moments where you are feeling activated and you're like, I want nothing more than to feel calm. And what I see most often is like, be calm. Force yourself to be calm. Right? I'm sure you do too.
That's such a trigger of mine. I'm like, don't tell me to be calm.
Right? So what do you have to share with the listeners when they're like, I know logically that I should be doing that, but my emotions are on overdrive. So what can they do?
Yeah. And I do just want to say one thing about recognizing your dysregulation. I've worked with a couple of people who really truly thought their personality was anger, sarcasm, defensiveness. They're like, no, that's me. I've always been this way. And it took a bit to break through and let them see that, no, that's actually not you. It's a dysregulated version of you. It is a story looping. So if you are someone who's listening to this, you're like, nope, I just am this way. I've always been this way. I've never not been this way. That is the dysregulated version of you. And I promise you, there is another version. You just have lost touch with her. And I know that because that was me, right? I really wore that badge of honor of like, no, I'm a hard ass. You don't want to mess with me. I'm going to tell you how it is. Like all of these things that I wore as a bit of a badge of honor was really me dysregulated. So one of the easiest ways to regulate your nervous system, even in the moment, the traffic jam, the partner who like says the one thing that will just set you off, is to actually recognize your breath. So when we breathe in and out just through our nose, we can activate our parasympathetic side of our nervous system. Those nice, slow, deep breaths. So even if like wherever you are right now, if you want to do that with me, just take in a really nice, big, deep breath in through your nose. Back out through your nose. And you can do it again if you want. But I know for me, like that was enough. One breath, I could feel that wave wash over me. Where it was just like, okay. Just everything felt a little bit softer. It didn't always happen so quickly, but because I practice this every day, right? I practice connecting with my breath and regulating my nervous system every day. It now is just like, oh, we're going to calm down. And it just switches so fast that I don't have to really think about it too much. So for someone who's starting out, you can, in the moment, like while your partner's speaking or before you speak, before you open your mouth again, just take a couple of really deep breaths in and out through your nose. And that'll start to signal to your body, we're safe, right? The breath and your breath awareness is the fastest way to regulate your nervous system, right? There's other ways as well, but you can't necessarily stand up and start shaking in the middle of a conversation.
Push
I
a
mean, you
wall.
can. Yeah, exactly. You can't necessarily find, and I know for people, it can feel really vulnerable to do some of these grounding exercises. It can kind of feel like we're exposing ourselves, but the breath is with you everywhere you go. And the beauty of using your breath to regulate is nobody can really tell, right? So if you take a couple of nice big deep breaths, and I will say, if you do a big breath like this, breathe in, and then you let out, you're like, some people are going to be like, what's wrong? Right? Because again, I'm going to talk from my personal experience. When my mom was ticked, she did a big, and that sigh triggered disappointment or frustration. And so I'm a big fan of the breathing in and out through your nose to help you just come into yourself, right? The other piece that I find really helpful is a little bit of grounding. So if you're about to go into a conversation, I think this can be helpful like before the conversation, is grounding yourself before. Let yourself have that conversation. And then if you notice that you're activated, take some space to re-regulate, right? The reality is that not all of us are going to be able to stay regulated during stressful moments. That's not really what our bodies and brains are meant to do, especially if we've had years and years and years of like programming. However, the quicker you can come back down into a regulated state, the quicker you can say, okay, I don't think I handled that the way I wanted to handle that. What do I want to do now? Maybe I want to go apologize. Maybe I want to regulate myself. Maybe I want to consider my role. Maybe I want to just find space. Like when we're clear, we have so many more options available to us. But when we're activated, all of those options go away and we have pretty much two things: fight or run away, right? That's how I see most people really dealing with stress, especially if they're in like a conversation.
Yeah, I think the breath is something I often use when I'm really frustrated with my kids. So I'll like take a deep breath in, and I do love that because I do feel like it's this secret thing that I'm doing to maintain my cool, or try and get back to my cool, I should say, to like prevent it from escalating even more. Um, and it's a great tool for you to be more aware of what's
Yeah.
happening in you, right? So, like, my clients know this. I often help them get to know their emotions and how they feel them, how they're
Mm.
talking to you and trying to tell you something, but we haven't been taught growing up what that sounds like or feels like, right?
Yep.
Because our emotions don't use words with us, they use sensations.
Mm-hmm.
And partnering that with your nervous system is so powerful, right?
Yeah.
I think that with nervous system regulation, it isn't the goal to not ever be dysregulated, because that's damn near impossible.
No.
Okay. I'm sure even monks in the mountains get dysregulated sometimes too, right?
Yeah.
It's about how quickly can you recognize that you're dysregulated and pivot, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's about recognizing, oh, okay, I'm dysregulated. Now let me go support myself, or ask for the level of support that I'm needing to co-regulate with your partner if that's available to you,
Yeah.
or with a friend, or with yourself, right? So this isn't, I don't want to pitch like perfection, okay? Like,
No.
That's not the goal for you to never get pissed off, never get annoyed, never get frustrated. Like, you would not be human if you didn't ever experience those things. And plus, they all have value in your life, right? They all turn you towards something that would be a better life for you, whether it's changing something or eliminating something from your life, right? It could be lots of things. So, Ashlee, what is something that you find your clients often going through as they're navigating this? Like, okay, like I know it's kind of more challenging to spot it at first. They're
Mhm.
like, oh man, I lost my cool. Like, I didn't even recognize it till it was over. What do you share with them when they're like, damn it, I did it again? Like, I didn't catch it in time.
I'm like, did you hear my conversation with myself this morning? Yeah. I think what you said, I just want to like amplify that because that is something I hear. I was like, well, now I know better. Why am I not doing better?
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, you already are because you recognize.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the different version of you, the dysregulated version of you, just carries on after a fight. Probably calls a friend and vents, amplifies the fight,
Yes.
um, you know, gossips about it, passes judgment on it, lives in it. It stays with you and it actually builds even more. The regulated and the coming into regulation version of you goes, ah, I did it again. Huh. Why did I not, like, what happened there? You start to be curious. I always call it like playing detective with yourself. It's like, okay, what happened there? Oh, I drank a pot of coffee and then decided to have a, tough conversation. So we're just like jacked up. Or I didn't sleep at all the night before. So I was really tired and then had this conversation. Like it was a timing thing. I was tired or I was already anxious. Like I didn't take the space to ground myself. I also find that as we start to do this work, one of the things that people will say to me is, why am I still making this mistake? And our bodies are meant to keep us safe. So when your body predicts or expects or thinks there's a threat, it is doing what it knows, which is to get activated and protect you. And so in these early stages of learning how to dysregulate, come down and re regulate yourself, that's like part one, right? Part two is going, I seem to get really triggered whenever we're late, or seem to get really triggered every time there's a change, or I seem to get really triggered when my kid talks back to me. And you start to notice what is activating you. And then you can start to explore, what do I need to do about that? Right. But I think that that is kind of the next step.
Mm-hmm.
So ultimately, the consistency of how you build regulation into your life is actually really, really important. I know that for me personally, the first couple of times that I was like, okay, I'll take a breath. I'll do this practice. I'll see how it works. It didn't click right away, right? It was something I had to be intentional about. But now, as I kind of mentioned, I took one deep breath and my entire system was like, oh, we're calm. It's okay. So it is something, and I think maybe this is part of the resistance that people face is it's not just going to be super quote unquote easy, but it is, I'm going to say, simple to implement, right? Again, you don't need hours and hours. It's not like going to the gym and investing in like all these weights and everything like that. You have access to your breath. You have access to looking around you and grounding and just like naming what you can see, what you can feel, what you can taste. You have access to like even some gentle body massage, like feeling your body. You have access to all of that. It's just whether or not you let yourself use the tools you already have, right? Or connecting with someone like yourself or me, where we can teach you how to use those tools so that you feel really confident in having, I always say, like, go to your toolbox. I say this to my clients all the time. You're going into a new situation, you're about to speak on stage, you have to have that uncomfortable conversation. Go into your toolbox. What are you going to use that is going to break up the pattern, is going to support you, and then help you afterwards regulate? Right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And if we haven't like hammered in this aspect enough, learn the tools, but also use the information that you get
Mm,
out of learning these tools so that you can improve your future, right? It isn't just about going into this loop of whatever you're experiencing. Okay, I'll just like breathe it out and get back to calm, only to be put back in that situation again, right? You
yeah.
need to take your role as like the driver of your life more seriously if you do feel like you are stuck in life and you just like feel like it's groundhog's day, right? Like same
Mm-hmm.
shit, different day. If that's what you feel like, okay, well, in those moments where you pull out those regulation tools, also take a look at, okay, well, what could I have done differently that would have led to a different result?
Yeah.
What can I think about? What can I prepare differently? What conversations do I need to have to set boundaries or help people be aware of things that you're now learning about yourself? Like, these are all essential action items that you need to take if you want to get yourself out of this like hamster wheel of a life where you do
Mm-hmm.
feel stuck. Because I resonate with Ash's example about being really triggered when we're late. Like 100%. I grew up believing that if you're late, then there's something wrong with you. You're
Yeah.
disrespecting someone's time and you're like just a whole slew of negative things. And now, like, I'm married to someone who is very thorough with life, with every aspect of life, but also moves at like the slow pace of a turtle. And so, like, that really gets me going. Plus, kids, right? They don't care about your
No.
timeline. And
What is
so,
time?
yeah, what is time? I want to go draw right now when we have to
Mm-hmm.
leave. And so I've really learned, okay, I get really upset. I start yelling, I start pacing, and I start like just rage, whatever. And now I'm like, okay, I need to give my family more time to get out the door so that I can feel calm. They don't get the
Mm-hmm.
wrath of their mom feeling triggered. And everyone can like go be on their way with whatever they're about to do, not feeling dysregulated because I lost my shit.
Yeah. I had a very similar experience. My son plays lots of different sports, and we're taking him different places. And, he is sitting waiting in the car, and I'm still gathering all the things, right? The lunch that we're going to have on the road, the water bottles, my coffee, getting the dog, settled. And I got into the car in a bit of a huff, right? I'm like, kind of tossed my jacket in there, and my arms are full, and he's sitting there, and I'm like, buddy. And he's like, Mom, why do you have to make every situation so stressful? And I was like, okay.
What a mirror.
Well, I know. It's like, thank you for the feedback. And I'm like, I can understand that I came in hot, right? I came in, he can read my, right? This is how our kids can actually read us. This is what we put out there. And he mirrored it back to me. And I said, you know what I actually think I need? I need you to pitch in. I need you to help more in getting ready so that I'm not the last person in the house doing all the things with my mental checklist. So thank you. You've given me a bit of an eye opener that if I don't want to come into this car creating stress for everyone, then I need to back it up and create a checklist so that before we leave the house, I'm not the only one doing the things.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, he still was like, ugh, rolls his eyes at me. But part of it is, yeah, like, I'm not going to fight with you about this. I can recognize that, yeah, I definitely left the house stressed and overwhelmed, and kind of telling myself, like, it's all on me. I'm the only person who's doing anything. But I brought that into the car. And he was able to say, like, why are you making everything so stressful? So these little reminders can like quickly bring us back to earth and can quickly help us say, okay, I don't actually want to feel this way. So what do I need to do differently? And it
Yes.
isn't always just on me, right? It's now, oh, okay, before you exit the house, what are you helping with? Right? And that helps me not be so stressed getting into the car because I've just had to, remember 92 things.
Yeah, it's teamwork,
Mhm.
right? Teamwork makes the dream work. I always tell my kids that. And I'm like, you got to grab your own shit.
Yeah.
Because like I got other things to think of on top of that. You guys have less to worry about. Like, how about you just take care of your own stuff? How about we all just
Mhm.
take care of our own stuff?
Yeah. Yeah, everybody get the things they need
Yeah,
and we'll go on our merry way.
that's right.
But it is one of those things, right, where they also can sense our stress.
Mm-hmm.
We're not fooling anybody by trying to like cover it up or pretend we're fine. It is stress and dysregulation is also really contagious,
Yes.
but so is calm and regulation, right? I can tell that when I take a deep breath during a heated situation, or if my son is nervous about his sports or something like that, I can take a deep breath and he takes a deep breath, right? He doesn't necessarily, I'm not like, hey, buddy, come breathe with me. Sometimes I do, but for the most part, when I start taking deep breaths, he settles. Like his nervous system responds to my nervous system. And so that's even like just in itself such a gift that I can help support his as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Like we have so much influence over the temperature of the room. Like every
Mm,
one of us does, right? We've all been in a situation where everything's cool with whoever we're with in the room, and then someone enters and they're like so tense. We're like, oh, like we tense up. We don't even know what's
yes.
happening.
Yep.
And so like it truly does extend out to the people around us. Like we have a ripple effect with how we care or not care for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So it's super important. Now, can you share with the listeners what you do with breath work? Like, can you share with people who, first of all, don't even know what breath work is? They're like, what do you mean? We all breathe because we're all
Yeah.
alive, right? But there's more to it than that.
There is more to it. Yeah. So I use breath work so breath work is really the conscious awareness of your breath, tuning into, at times manipulating your breath to help you either move energy, regulate your nervous system, or it can go deeper than that and you can get into a really nice meditative state and release whatever's under the surface. Lately, I've been really using breath work with my clients to lay this groundwork of regulation. I have a new program that's out there. It's actually called Regulate, and it is this understanding of what is dysregulating you and what helps you feel more regulated using breath work as a primary tool to reset in the middle of your day, to help you sleep at night, to help you start your day with intention. And so that's how I'm really using shorter sessions because everyone is like tight on time. It's the big thing I hear. I don't have enough time. So really giving them bite size, 5 minute, 10 minute sessions that they can do where their nervous system gets used to like deregulating, coming back down, letting them feel this like the joy of being calm. And I actually said to one of my clients, she's like, I don't know what we're doing here. I'm like, we're building your tolerance for calm. That's what we're doing. We're building your tolerance to like sit and breathe for 5 minutes. That's what we're building right now. And now she's like been with me for 6 months and she's like, I want to do like more of these like meditative sessions. Like her capacity has grown. And it's so amazing in with the intentionality of it. I mentioned before that sometimes when we get into like our limiting beliefs and understanding our triggers, I will use breath work with my clients in those deeper, longer sessions to help them understand even more Like, what is under the surface? What is that trigger about? What are the stories? And that subconscious reprogramming of like, okay, that story's not serving you anymore. So what do we want to replace it with? How do we want to shift that? And breath work can be a really amazing tool for doing that.
Yes, I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
So for those who are interested in learning more from you, where can they connect with you?
Yeah, I'm pretty active on Instagram. So you can connect with me on Instagram. It's ashlee.livingstone. There's a million E's in my name. So I feel like pop that in the show notes. And then my website. So I have my different offers, different ways that people can work with me right there. And I would say that if you're curious, the best place to start is to regulate, right? Getting in, learning how to have a space where you are guided through this regulation process. And then you have your tools that are going to help you as you move forward in the next step for you, whatever that looks like.
Love that. Thank you so much for being a guest on this show.
Thank you.
Like I said, learning about your nervous system, how it works for you is so powerful because we each have our own very, very unique nervous system and just how our emotions work and what they're sharing with us. And we have to, I feel like it's our life's job to really kind of peel back the layers of what makes us us, why we do the things we do, what matters to us most. And learning and becoming more familiar with your nervous system is a great way to do that. That benefits everyone that you love and even beyond that, right? So if you want to learn more, go connect with Ashlee, go check out her program if that's really calling to you. And if you know someone that could benefit from listening to this episode, please share this with them. Better yet, tag us in your stories so we can give you a shout out. If you love the show, thank you so much for being here. I would love it if you could leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. That's what helps this show grow and helps more people like you get the support that they need. And thank you so much for being on here again, Ashlee. I'm so excited for the listeners to listen to this. And I'll catch you guys all back here on the next episode. Bye. That's it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed making it. If you did, please send me a message over on Instagram at Michelle Perta Coaching to let me know what you loved most about it. Hearing from my listeners is my absolute favorite. And if you've been loving this podcast, please leave a rating and review. This will help people like you find the show and get the help they need. Catch you here on the next episode. Bye.